on today as we talk about how to increase your cash flow. Well, the question is, what is cash flow? Yes, I have an international audience, Anitra. What is cash flow? Yo, right in the chat section right now, can you tell me what cash flow is? Can anyone really define in their own words what cash flow is to them? So in the comment section, let's be interactive on today. I'm excited to talk about this. I like increasing my cash flow. Does anybody else like increasing their cash flow? So what is cash flow? Before we dive into how to increase it, different ways, strategies, techniques. Good morning to you, Wasi. Good morning. See you tuning in on today as well. What is cash flow? That's the first question. What is cash flow? Does anyone know what CF is, cash flow? I'm waiting on your response. I need those Twitter fingers working right now. What is cash flow? We want to increase cash flow, but we got to know what it is. Is cash flow your income you make every month? Is cash flow how much you make for the year? When we say cash flow, what are we talking about? Mr. Tony Sherman says surplus funds after paying all bills for the month. I hate to say this, but Tony's pretty much right. That's a good definition of what cash flow is. I wanted to tell him he was wrong, but I can't. Surplus funds after paying all the bills. Sometimes just looking at a word, sometimes you'll find a simple definition just from the word. Good morning, Mickey David. Happy to have you tuning in and happy to be of service to be able to help you out with Coach Steele's finance training and pointing you in the direction for some of the services you needed. So shout out to you, Mickey. And so when we look at the definition of surplus funds after paying all bills and expenses for the month, when we look at the word cash flow, we see cash. So clearly when we talk about cash flow, we're definitely talking about currency. We're talking about money. So we're talking about cash and we're talking about the flow of it, the movement of it. Anything that has flow, it has some type of movement. It should be able to move. So when we look at cash flow, bills and expenses stop the flow of our money from us to somewhere else. So keep that in mind. Bills and expenses stop the flow of our money and it goes to whatever other entity. So there is no flow in that, it stops. But if there is something left over after, let's say bills and expenses are this wall, if there's something left over after we pay all bills and expenses that can still flow, then those are those surplus funds that Mr. Sherman was talking about after we pay everything. So we're talking about money, income, funds after we pay bills, expenses, light, water, shelter, transportation, you name it, insurance. After we pay everything, what is left over at the end of the month? So we're talking about the money that's left over at the end of the month. How do we increase it? How do we have more money at the end of the month? Why is this important? Because about 70% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. So that means there's some people that aren't even living paycheck to paycheck, but they have more month than they have money. So this is very important. Why is this important as well? Because some of us aren't hurting financially, but if we can increase our cash flow, then we can pay off debt faster. If we can increase our cash flow, then we can invest more money into other assets. I talk about asset hopping in here. Good morning to you, Miss Vicky Floyd. Happy to have you. Mrs. Vicky Floyd, happy to have you on this morning as well. We are talking about how do we increase our cash flow and some creative things we can do. And not only are we going to talk about some of the basic points to increase cash flow, but then we are also going to give examples of if we do increase our cash flow and we do decide to invest it. You all know I like going to the calculator to see if we do decide to invest the money, what are the pros and cons? What happens? Good morning to Pastor Takara Nicole, Life at the Well. So you all that love learning about scripture, love learning about God, you can always go to Pastor Takara Nicole's Facebook page and follow as well. She usually goes live on Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Zone. She has a new book out called Get This Baby Out of Me. And if you did not catch the interview, ladies and gentlemen, go to my YouTube channel and scroll down and find that live interview I did with Pastor Takara Nicole about Get This Baby Out of Me. And you probably want to buy the book. So anyway, when we talk about cash flow, which Mr. Tony Sherman has done a beautiful job of defining, when we talk about it today, let's hit on some quick points on how to increase that cash flow. So, number one, I always tell you all about your budget. Know your budget. And don't get intimidated by the word budget. Please, don't be intimidated. A budget is basically knowing what you have coming in and what you have going out. Those are things you should want to know. You should just naturally want to know your business. It's your business. It's your income. It's your expenses. You should want to know those things, those numbers. If you're tuning in on today, make sure you share this live. Make sure you tag some people in it that might want to know about money, that love having the conversation about financial literacy, that may want to borrow money from you. So anyway, we should know our budget. And once you know your budget, it allows you to track your expenses. And so one of the things that can help you increase your cash flow, one of the keys is tracking your expenses. I got so many people on the live today. I got youth pastor Tasha Trotter tuning in on today. I got Pastor Takara Nicole tuning in on today. I got Elder Vicky Floyd tuning. Hopefully this don't turn into church, guys. But anyway, they're jumping in here, so anything could happen. So we're talking about expenses, right? Tracking your spending. Use budgeting apps. Now, I'm not saying you have to use a budgeting app, but let's say you aren't good at tracking your expenses. No excuse, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to you, Mr. Timothy Scott. You can use a budgeting app. There's like Rocket. There's a Rocket app out there that a lot of people like using, but the key is you need to track your expenses. I'm old school. To track my expenses, I will use a notepad. I will use an Excel sheet. Every once in a while, I might use an app, but for the most part, I'm old school. I will get on a piece of paper and write some stuff down, and I will get on my Excel sheets. I love using my Excel sheets to track my expenses as well. Good morning to you, Miss Beautiful Felicia Richardson. Happy to have you tuning in. And so good morning to you as well. And let's see here. Using budgeting apps to identify and cut unnecessary expenses. And so another person is testifying about Excel sheets. And so we got Vicky Floyd. She likes putting her information in the Excel sheet. I'm so happy on this one. Let me calm down. So once you do that and you can track your expenses, guys, you can negotiate your bills. And another cool thing, and this isn't about cash flow. This is about helping you be able to pay your bills strategically throughout the month. Some people have the front part of the month, your bills and expenses are front loaded. In other words, you got a lot of bills and expenses in the beginning of the month, but what you receive as far as income can't handle that front-loaded bills and expenses. So what some of you are going to have to do is talk to some of the service providers or people you need to pay, and some of them you need to shift towards the end of the month when you get paid again, so you're not paying things late. And of course, that is going to help you increase your cash flow. Why? Because when you are paying things late, sometimes there comes late fees with that. And late fees take away your cash flow, money that you could have left over at the end of the month. And I know some of you are probably thinking, well, it's just $20. It's just $13. That money could go into gas. That money could go to feed someone in Cameroon or clothe someone. That money could be given to help someone else, or it can be given to help you eliminate debt or invest your money. So no more late fees. Type in the chat section if you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook World, type in no more late fees. We're going to track our expenses, see what we have coming in and going out, so that we have the money to pay those bills on time. No more late fees. So if we eliminate late fees for the month, we immediately increase our cash flow. I remember I would not do well with keeping up with how much money I had in my account. And I would swipe my debit card. I remember a few times, I won't say a whole lot, but a few times. Sometimes I would overdraft. Like let's say it was $10 left in the account, but I spent $10.50. The banks don't care if you went 50 cents over, if you went 1 cent over. I don't know what it is now because I haven't done it in a long time, but they would charge me like $30 or $33 late fee. Anybody know what the overdraft fee is now? Anybody recently did an overdraft? I haven't done it in years, but it used to be like $30 to $33. And they would get me. If it was pennies, they would get me. I would be so upset because I needed that $30 or whatever it used to be. And so I will tell you this. If you have like one-off situations, back in the day, I could call them and I would say, hey, clearly a mistake. Can we get that removed? And they would remove it. Sometimes they'll fix it. But if you are a habitual overdrafter and you are constantly doing it, then they will not remove it. Don't ask me how I know. But anyway, that was back in the day. That's probably like 15, 20 years ago or something like that. So everybody is saying no more late fees. No more late fees. No more late fees. We're not doing it. No more late fees in 2025. No more late fees, because we can take that money and we can use it for something else. We can invest it in ourselves. So we've all agreed that, right? We're tracking our expenses. We're negotiating our bills, making sure we have things come out at the right time. And of course, another important thing, now that the holidays are over, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to avoid or reduce impulse purchases. Ladies, and not to, pick on the ladies in the crowd today, but what we're going to do, we are going to avoid or reduce impulse purchases. And we're going to stick to a monthly budget plan. Not picking on the women, not saying that men don't do it, but ladies, can we agree in 2025 that we are not going to do impulse purchases? Now, I know you all said no more late fees, but can the ladies put in the comment section, no impulse purchases, no impulse shopping? Tony Sherman said in 2010, it was about $35. See, I told y'all it was like, for me, about 10, 15 years ago. Yeah, it was around like $30, $33 back then. Good morning to my Uncle Craig. Happy to have you tuning in on today. Now, I see Felicia put her hands up, but I don't think she said it. I don't think she quite said it. But yes, we want to, what Yvette put here, avoid or reduce impulse purchases. And so you can be strategic. Ladies, I'm not saying not to buy things, but what we're doing, okay, let me set it up for y'all, right? All right, because the ladies in their feelings, they don't want to type it in the chat. All right. It's not that you're not going to purchase things in 2025, but you're going to be strategic about how you purchase them. So we're still going to buy some things, but we're going to be strategic. It's going to be planned. It's not going to be impulsive. See, now y'all happy because you still get to buy, right? All right. So Mrs. Wright, Mrs. White said no impulse shopping. Felicia, she has committed no impulse shopping. Lord Jesus, help me. Vicky Floyd say it's too easy. No impulse spending. let's see what Miss Shirley said. She said, work on not doing impulse spending, smiley face. That was a little suspect to me. I don't feel like Miss Frazier has given me a full commitment. She said work on. She didn't say no. All right. But anyway, we're gonna keep it moving. We got Youth Pastor Trotter, no impulse purchases. We got Miss L, Miss Linda, my friend from a long time ago. No impulse shopping. All right. So as we're tuning in on today, and we got Miss Linda, she's live on the YouTube channel. Some of you are on Facebook, some of you are on YouTube, and I love all of my family that's tuning in. Shout out to Miss Shauna Johnson tuning in on this morning. Usually she's tuned in with her husband, and so good morning to both of you, John, on this morning as well. All right, so now let's go a little bit further. Another way to increase your cash flow, ladies and gentlemen, is to, and a lot of people don't like this. I do have one client that took my advice, and she was telling me like 2 months ago how much success she was having from this advice. But it's simple: increase your income. If you increase your income and you don't add other expenses, then you can increase your cash flow. You can increase that CF. And what I'm saying is this, guys: sometimes to increase your income, it doesn't take a whole lot. It's not like you have to go get a whole nother job and do a whole nother 40 hours. Sometimes it's taking on side gigs, whether it's freelancing, it might be tutoring. It might be, I'm not saying that you always gotta, you could go wash cars, you could wash boats, you could rake leaves or cut grass. I'm not saying you gotta go wipe windows and things like that. But there are some creative things. Sometimes it might be getting with some family members and saying, I'm doing a date night for all the couples. I'm going to watch the kids. Y'all pay me a certain amount. You have from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. I need you to be back by 9:30. Whatever it is. Date night, movie night, babysit the kids. You made maybe $200-300. Boom, knock out a credit card. That might make you want to do it again the next month. So finding creative ways to make extra money, creating income. It may be, once again, one client I had, she took the advice. She was actually listening to the YouTube channel, and I said, just go get a part-time job and work it for a month or two. Get rid of those credit cards. You pay them off. Now you no longer have to pay money to service those loans, that debt, and now you increased your cash flow. She did that, went to her old job, worked some hours, and she knocked out her credit cards. So sometimes we don't have to overthink this, and you have to remember it is temporary. Increasing your income to increase cash flow, to also eliminate debt, sometimes it's temporary. It's not that you have to go back to work forever. I'm just doing this to hit this goal, to hit this point. So we got Nikki Severado said no more late fees. And yes, that next step is to increase our income. That's what we want to do. So what are some things you can do to increase your income? Another thing you can do, and y'all can write this in the comment section. If you've ever had to increase your income, what are some things you've done to do that? What are some creative things you've done in the past to increase your income or to make some extra money? Should I say legally? Legally, yeah, because I don't know statutes of limitations on my audience. So what are some things that you've done legally to increase your income? Okay, we got Miss Shauna Johnson saying, find a hobby and make it work and don't overcharge. Those who believe in you will support the vision, whether it's short-term or long-term. That's one thing you can do. Some of the things that we love to do that are hobbies, some people will pay us for those services and different things like that. So that's one thing that you can do. Does anybody have any other examples of ways they have increased their income? You know, you can start a job. You can do a small business. Oh, here's a great example right here. Here is a great example. Felicia Richardson says, I sold dinner plates and cake jars. And it was just holiday season. So you had November, December, January, all of these holidays and different things going on. Look at y'all ladies, y'all doing it. Y'all killing it. Y'all have great examples on how to make some extra money. That is so convenient because a lot of people don't want to cook, especially during the holidays. So you can definitely make some money, not even just during the holidays, but anytime. And so we got Tasha Trotter saying doing hair, braiding, sew-ins. Yeah, somebody got to twist these things. So that's another way to make some extra money, guys. Off to the side, it's not, some people are gifted to be able to do hair. And so, you can provide a service to someone, something that people need, and they will pay you. And so you have to really maximize your gifts, skills, and talents that you have. All right, we have another one. Here's a different dynamic from a different approach. Tony Sherman says raise rent on rental property because of increase in property taxes. So in that example, if you're a homeowner, if you're a landlord and the county and the city increase your property taxes, then it takes away from your cash flow that you were making, the profits on that investment property. But if he raises the rent, then he can increase his cash flow. So as a business owner, as an investor, if you raise the cost on your goods, services that you provide, you can increase your cash flow. So that's another great example right there. Shauna Johnson puts making t-shirts, but expand it to just about anything. That's and then we got Miss White. She is actually in my notes. That's one of the suggestions, selling unneeded items. Anybody old enough here in the comment section that can remember yard sales? Remember yard sales? Your mom will wake you up at like 6:30 in the morning and you riding around to these different random people houses trying to find deals at yard sales, selling unneeded items. Shirley Fraser says embroidery. I know one lady, she makes these big blankets for people or quilts. I'm not sure what they're called. So there's different ways to make money on the side. But if you do start a business and you're doing this, keep up and track everything that you're doing so that you can also have some write-offs. It is tax season, ladies and gentlemen. And if I didn't mention it earlier, next Saturday, I'm going to have a young man named Trey Harris. He's going to come on and talk about taxes and his business. It is Southeast Tax Specialist Trey Harris. He's going to come on and talk to us about taxes. So I'm excited about next week. So make sure you're tuned in next week as well. All right. So Nitra is saying, yes, she still loves those yard sales. All right, so we know we got to increase our income, right, guys? And so some people put unused items on yard sales. Some people use technology now for those unused items. Where can you put them? eBay, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace is, a place where people have made a lot of money selling those unused items. And so find a way to get rid of that stuff you no longer need. It helps you. You clear up more space in your garage or in your house, and you made some money in the process as well. Today on Coach Steele's Finance Training, we are talking about how to increase cash flow. And so we've named a few points on how to increase cash flow on today. Make sure you are subscribed to my YouTube channel, Coach Steele's Finance Training, and also make sure you are sharing this live for other people to tune in. And so whether you're getting dressed this morning, whether you're cooking, whether you're cleaning, I just need you to turn me up so that we can continue to talk about how to increase your CF, how to increase your cash flow. Now, here's another way to increase your cash flow. If you do have debt, you need to optimize your debt payments. In other words, you can be creative with what you're doing to service those debts. Now, when we talk about yard sales, Anitra said, I can find a bargain on furniture, repaint it, repurpose it, and resell it for more, using the yard sale to increase cash flow. That's impressive. I like that. I like that a lot. So when we want to optimize our debt payments, that's another way to increase your cash flow. Optimize your debt payments. Some people will consolidate debt. Some people will prioritize paying off debts a certain way to increase their cash flow to be able to pay the debt off faster. And in my videos on my YouTube channel, I talk about the avalanche method. There's videos about the snowball method. And then there's a great video about accelerated banking using the HELOC strategy. Now, if you have a mortgage and you want to pay it off at an accelerated rate, and your debt, consumer debt, car loans, student loans, personal loans, credit cards, the fastest way and the most using accelerated banking, using the HELOC strategy. So if you do have a mortgage and you are interested in paying off your mortgage and being debt free and getting rid of that consumer debt as well, hit me up and I can definitely give you some information about that. But of course, we will do an evaluation to make sure that it works for you first before you move forward with that. So make sure you remember that, whether you shoot me an email, if you need my email address, right down there in the ticker, CoachSteeleFinance@gmail.com, CoachSteeleFinance@gmail.com. So optimizing your debts. Thank you, Yvette. I appreciate it. Optimizing your debt payments using different strategies. Some people, I always tell you, it's worth a try. Some of you have credit cards and the credit card interest rates are at like 20%, 18%, 26%. There is nothing wrong with calling your credit card company. Sometimes it works. They can only say yes or no. This is what I want you to try. If you have a credit card and it has interest on it, call the credit card company and ask them, hey, I'm having a difficult time. Can you please lower my interest rate down to 0? Sometimes they say yes. Sometimes they may only lower it a few percent, maybe 3 or 5%. Either way, if they lower it, it will increase your cash flow and allow you to pay it off faster. So those are some creative ways you can optimize your debt payment. Most importantly, like I said, if you have a mortgage, then reach out to me and we'll talk about strategies to be debt free at an accelerated rate. It works. I've used it myself, took a 30-year mortgage and paid it off in 3 years and 7 months. And I've seen people do it even faster. But on average, most people finish in about 5 to 7 years. All right. So we talked about that. Another way to increase your cash flow, and I like this subject next, is build you some passive income. Build passive income. How can we build passive income? Before we talk about how we can build passive income, someone tell me, what is passive income? What is passive income to you? Someone tell me their definition of passive income. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Right now, we are answering the question, what is passive income? Because you have active income and you have passive income. So I need to know, what is passive income? Appreciate you tuning in today. Make sure as you are tuning in, if you can, share this live, tag some other people in here so that they can tune in to some conversations about financial literacy and increasing your cash flow. And when we increase that cash flow, we have to know what to do with it, right? So we're talking about what is passive income. We know that if we build our passive income, we can increase our cash flow, but we need to know what is passive income. So someone in the comment section, tell me your definition of passive income. And so when we find out and understand what passive income is, when we increase our cash flow, I want to quickly go to the investor chart and see what we can do with that income, with that extra money, and how it benefits us long term. Because we don't want to just build we don't want to just build cash flow and not maximize it and not use it. So as we get here in the next, I would say 4 to 5 minutes, we're going to talk about what we can do with that cash flow. Now, Mrs. Wright said, income gained with minimal work. That's a part of it. That's a part of it. Does anybody else have a definition of passive income? Because you got to think about this, right? Mrs. Wright, there were times when I was in the military and as a NCO, as a sergeant, I really didn't do anything at work. I might have just been chilling and the soldiers might have been doing the work. I was just instructing, didn't have anything to do, but I was actively at work in a 9 to 5 in the Army. So I was active. It wasn't passive. So, and it didn't require me to do as much work. So it can't just be solely that, but that can be a benefit or a quality of passive income. Mr. Timothy Scott says extra income you make from investment. I can get with that. Does anybody else have another definition of passive income? Or if you can't think of a definition, you can give me an example. All right, let's see what we have here. I kind of like Timothy Scott's definition. Extra income you make from investments. You make an investment and you make extra money. You weren't physically there at a 9 to 5 having to do any manual labor or clocking in. Shirley Fraser said, what we talked about earlier, outside traditional job / retirement income. Tony Sherman says income you make every month regularly. No, because Tony, if someone works a 9 to 5, that's income they make every month regularly, but they have to physically be there. So that's still active income. So it can't be solely, that is the definition. What is passive income? And what are some examples of passive income? Tasha Trotter says income outside of your main income source. Kind of. Because your 9 to 5 can be your main income source, but then you might have a part-time job that's not your main source. But if you have to be physically present for that part-time job, it's still active income and not passive. Income that is not part of my living expenses? No, it can't just be income that's not part of your living expenses, because if you have income that you don't have to use on your living expenses, that's just extra cash flow you have left over at the end of the month. So what is passive income? All right, so Miss Wright gives us an example. If you have an ATM machine and people come and use it and you make a profit off of it because people are using your ATM machine, then that's passive income. You physically didn't have to be there. You're making money off of this investment of this ATM machine you put on the block or you put inside a grocery store or a gas station. So that's a great example of passive income. I physically didn't have to be there. I made an investment in this asset, and this asset is cash producing. So that's a great example right there. We got Mr. Timothy Scott says, is car rental or rental property? So here's another example. I have an asset. I have a vehicle that I rent out. I have a house that I rent out. And because of that, I make passive income from renting out those properties. And let's say with that rental property, I have property management in place. So I don't have to do anything but maybe check an email on the when the money came in, and if potentially the property management says, hey, Mr. Steele, we need to make a repair here. Do you approve? And I hit, yes, I approve. So rental, money that you make from investment properties, that is passive income. Or from, let's say you got a car on Turo. So those are some great examples right there. Shirley put extra money outside the job. Income made by doing physically nothing. Income made by doing physically nothing. There are some people in administrative positions that they don't physically do anything, but they still make decisions and they're presently at work. So it can't just be that either. So we have revenue made from a created system that doesn't require your physical presence. And so that's very, very close as well. So we have to understand what passive income is and the benefits of passive income. You have money that comes in that doesn't require your physical presence. That can be seen as passive income. Another way you can make passive income, because we're talking about how do we increase this CF, this cash flow, right? So building passive income, whether you invest in dividend stocks, there are some stocks that you can invest in, ladies and gentlemen, and they will pay you. So you can create passive income by investing in certain stocks, certain ETFs that yield you a profit, and you can increase your cash. You can increase your cash flow by investing in stocks, by investing in real estate, by investing in businesses. Some of you have named businesses that you can use, side jobs that you can do. Some of those side jobs won't be passive income, but you can still increase your cash flow. But another way to increase cash flow is through passive income. Investments, investing in assets that are cash producing, that don't require your physical presence to be there. And so when we do that, guys, what we want to do, Shauna asked y'all to drop some stock names. What are some stocks that produce dividend stocks? Okay, let's see. What are some stocks? What are some different companies that produce dividends? That's a good question. Good. Can't find the word. That's a good idea. All right. On my YouTube channel, Coach Steele's Finance Training, there is a YouTube video that talks about dividend stocks and how you can take the dividends, the money, the profit that you make from those dividends and reinvest them. And when you reinvest the dividends, it allows you to make even more money. And on that YouTube channel, guys, it has different dividend stocks that you can invest in. And I don't know if I made it large enough for you to actually be able to see some of them. No, I don't think I did. But they are on there. So go to my YouTube channel and you'll be able to see different dividend stocks on there. So, and you'll get to see one of the dividend stock portfolios that I have, and that'll be able to help you out as well. So hopefully that answers your question on some of the dividend stocks. I would go deeper and give you some more names, but like I'll give a quick one. Johnson & Johnson. Someone in the comment section, type in Johnson & Johnson. It's a stock that gives you dividends. I think you all were able to see Verizon on there. That was another one. But I will tell you this, Amazon does dividends as well, of course, another good company. But I am not telling you what to invest in or what not to invest in. So always do your own research, ladies and gentlemen, and figure out what works best for you. Because I do not tell people where to invest their money. But Johnson & Johnson, Amazon does dividends, and there's a few other ones, but you can go on my YouTube channel, watch that video, and it probably has 15 to 20 different companies in there that give me dividends. And there's a few videos on there. All right. Let's see. Let me stop sharing that. All right. So we got stocks, real estate, and certain businesses that generate passive income, which will increase your cash flow, right? All right. So let's go a little bit further. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because it's important to diversify your portfolio. In the comment section, write diversify, diversification. Now, I don't know if everybody, don't want to insult anybody's intelligence. Diversification is a big word. So if you want to just keep it simple, you could write diversify. So you pick which one you want to do. Take a chance. Either way, I'm going to post it. Whatever you type in is going up. So make sure you spell check. So make sure. Good morning, May Butler. Good morning to you. I appreciate you tuning in. So make sure you diversify your income sources, diversify where you invest. You want to have a good variety and different sources of income. Okay, Shauna Johnson jumped out there. Let's see if she's right. Y'all let me know if she spelled diversification right. I think she probably, wait, is that right? Diversification. Anyway, I'm going to leave it alone. Y'all let me know if she spelled it right. If she did, then it's probably because she went, I don't know, look a little suspect. But if she did, it's probably because she went to Google and copy and paste it. But that's neither here nor there. So we want to diversify our income. Now let's go to, okay, they said you're right. And Mr. Scott, he spelled it the same way too. So I think you're right. So everybody want to go with the complicated one. Anybody want to keep it simple and just write diversify? We want to diversify our portfolio. We want to be creative. So even when you look at my dividend stock portfolio on my YouTube channel, Coach Steele's Finance Training, you're going to see that I have certain stocks that are like in the medical field, medical. I have some that are like in real estate. There's actually a company, it's called Simon's Property Group. It's a real estate stock, and it's on there as well in my portfolio. But it's called Simon's Property Group, and they give investments as well. And that company is doing well, made me some good money. And so it might be because of the name. But anyway, so just keep that in mind that you want to be diversified. So no matter what season, no matter what's going on, ladies and gentlemen, you can make your money through any season. There's some people during the pandemic that they struggled to make money. And during that same time, people made a lot of money. And it's because you have to be able to diversify and be able to adjust no matter what's going on. And so we have Anitra who decided to spell both of them. She wanted to be fancy. Okay. But anyway, now, as we go further, let's see if I can share my screen. All right. So guys, pay attention. We increased our cash flow, right? We're doing these things. We made our money. You may end up having a lump sum of money, or you may have extra money every month. So what do we do with it, right? And let's see if we can do this in the next 5 minutes, because I have somewhere to be. So let's say we increase our cash flow, and let me share my screen. You all know I like going to investor.gov to see how this money works, how we can maximize our money. And also, when you use this calculator, it kind of helps you with understanding how to maximize your money and what the results are going to be, because you can take actions, right? We can take actions. We can do certain things unknowingly. But like I've told you all before in other videos that I have, there's something called opportunity cost. If you blind yourself to the subject of opportunity cost, then you're literally robbing yourself. And so we always want to keep that in mind. No matter what you do with money, you have to entertain the subject of opportunity cost. Are you willing to lose money because you didn't do some extra research, or you didn't do some due diligence, or move money in the proper place? So in this example, I'm going to show you, we'll keep it simple. We'll start off simple. Let's say you have $5,000 in your savings account. You have $5,000 in your savings account. And now that you increased your cash flow, yeah, this is good. I like this example. Now that you increased your cash flow, all right, let me go here. We got $5,000 in the savings. We can now put an extra $100 a month, monthly contribution. We can put an extra $100 a month in our savings account to build that emergency fund. For how long would you do it? Let's say you do that for 10 years, right? The interest rate on that regular savings account might be less than 1%. We already know that. Regular savings account, less than 1%. What will happen after 10 years of adding an extra $100 because you had that cash flow? Well, we'll hit calculate and find out. Calculate and find out. So in 10 years, now you have $18,077.77. But if you were to put that money in, let's say, a high yield interest savings account, that's making at least 4% interest. So we already know if we continue to put our money in a regular savings account, just extra money we have sitting off to the side, we're going to make $18,077 in 10 years. But if we put it in a high yield interest savings account, we made an extra $3,000 plus just by putting the money in a savings account that makes more interest. If you need a high yield interest savings account, I have it in my description box on YouTube and on Facebook. You click on that high yield interest savings account, and it's pretty simple, guys. Once you set up a high yield interest savings account, if you deposit $50 within, if they still have that same special going, $50 within the first 14 days, they'll give you an extra $25. But anyway, that's just a small example of opportunity cost. You miss out on thousands of dollars when you do not park your cash flow in the right place. Am I saying that you should take all your cash flow and put it in a high yield interest savings account? No, I wouldn't tell you to do that. You all know that I believe you should have an emergency fund, but it doesn't have to be a big one. I don't believe in stacking up money forever and forever in just checking a savings account. But I will tell you this. You can always take your money and you can decide to invest it into stocks. You can invest it into real estate. I tell everyone to do both. Some people are stock heavy. Some people are real estate heavy. Let me tell you a secret. I like investing in real estate because I can create an asset. You know, when you build up a real estate portfolio, whether it's an IRA, whether you're investing in an ETF, exchange traded fund, whether you're investing in your 401k, the time spent pouring all of that money into a retirement account, I can spend less money putting it into real estate and build a similar amount of money or equity into a real estate property. So hopefully that makes sense. I like real estate because I don't have to contribute as much money and I can still build the same portfolio. I can still make the same similar amount of long-term equity or size of that asset. And I'll give an example. Hopefully this makes sense. Let's say someone has $20,000 in their retirement account. And remember, when I show you this, I say invest in the stock market and in real estate. I'm not saying not to invest in real estate. I mean, in the stock market. It's a good idea to do long-term dollar cost averaging into the market. Now, if you have $20,000 in your retirement account, and let's say we'll use 10 years again. For the next 10 years, you put in, let's see, hold on, let me switch this. You got $20,000 in your retirement account. You increased your cash flow. You did the work today that we talked about, and you increased your cash flow, let's say, to $200 a month. You take that extra $200 and you start contributing it, monthly contribution, every month to that retirement account. Length of time, let's say you did that for 10 years. If you did that for 10 years, and if you watch any other videos, we always go by estimated interest rate, 10%. If it's by 10%, 10 years, $200 a month, you started off with $20,000 as the balance in that retirement account. This is if someone invested in their retirement account, their extra cash flow. We know in 10 years, that $20,000 is now $90,124.67. So we know that it increased, right? We know they started with 20,000, but they did $200 every month for 10 years. So this is where I need your help with the math. We started with 20,000 and now it's $90,124.67. If I contributed $200 every month for 10 years, then how much money did I contribute to this $90,124.67? I started off, I contributed $20,000. Also, I did $200 every month for 10 years. So let's just do that part. $200 every month for 10 years. How much money is that? 200 times 12 times 10. How much is that? Asking some complicated math questions. Let's see if anybody can do the math on that. My initial amount was 20,000. We know that. It grew to $90,124.67. But to get to that $90,124.67, investing into the stock market, I had to also contribute $200 a month for 10 years. We're talking about increasing your cash flow, but once we increase the cash flow, it allows us to reinvest. It allows us to invest that money into assets for it to grow even more. Does anybody have the answer? $200 times 12 months times 10 years. How much is that you had to invest with that 200? Yes, Mr. Tony Sherman is correct. So out of that $90,124.67, for those next 10 years, you had to use about $24,000 of your money. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because eventually, after you invest into a retirement account, IRA, 401k, TSP, you name it, once you hit a certain age, 59 and a half, or whatever age you decide to start drawing from it, you can now start drawing a certain amount of money from it. But it has to be for however many years you're investing in it, right? Now, this is why I say I like real estate, guys. Because when we look at this example right here, it took 10 years to get that 90,000, and you had to contribute another 24,000 into it to get to that value. I've had real estate where I've invested $20,000 into a property, and probably less than 6 or 7 years, it has increased to over $100,000 plus in value. So I didn't even have to wait 10 years. And also, while someone would normally wait 10, 15, 20 years at a certain age to start finally receiving monthly distributions from that investment, when I made that initial $20,000 investment into that real estate property, the tenants start paying me as soon as they move in. So I'm making money every month that day all the way to 59 and a half and past that age. And it doesn't deplete. Usually retirement accounts have the potential to deplete in value over a period of time from pulling the money out. So with real estate, it increased to over $100,000 in value in less than 10 years. And I didn't have to put another 24,000 into it. I put the initial 20,000 deposit down. The tenant helps me service and pay the loan every month. So I didn't have to contribute another 24,000 to get to 90,124 and 67 cents. So listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying not to invest in the stock market. What I'm saying is do both. Let compound interest work for you in the stock market, but also understand the power of real estate, that it requires less of your money with the same amount of potential growth, but you get to enjoy the money now and not later. Or you can do something that I like to do. Take the real estate investment money and use it into the stock market. Because some of us want to prepare for retirement, right? Some of us don't have enough cash flow, enough money to prepare for retirement. But if we increase our cash flow, we take that money and put it into real estate, we grow our real estate portfolio and equity, and we can take the real estate money and throw it in the stock market. And now we have multiple assets working for us over a period of time, creating passive income, creating more cash flow for us. Does it make sense? If it makes sense, type "it makes sense" in the comment section. If it makes sense, type "it makes sense" in the comment section. Ladies and gentlemen, we are coming very close. It is 10:02. I usually only like going about an hour, and I have a few minutes over that. So I'm going to stop right here. I think we made a lot of progress on today, talking about some complicated things and simplifying it. That's what we do here at Coach Steele's Finance Training. I had an awesome time with you all on today, talking about how to increase that cash flow, creative things that we can do to increase our cash flow. Great conversation on the day. Got a little more complicated towards the end, not too complicated, but just breaking some things down for you so that you can understand the end game. We're going to increase the cash flow, and then we need to have a plan on what to do with it. And so diversifying, like I said, having multiple strategies on what to do with it and taking the best approach, the best strategy that works for you. Some of you might take that extra cash flow. You might not invest it in real estate. You might decide to invest it in your business. Some of you talked about making t-shirts. You may not like real estate. You may not understand the stock market. You may say, I'm going to take that and reinvest it back into my business, into me. I believe in these t-shirts. I believe in these designs. I believe in these candles. I believe in whatever it is that entrepreneurship is. Shirley Fraser mentioned something earlier. I forgot what she said, but whatever that investment, embroidery, I believe in that embroidery. Whatever it is, you reinvest that money in the assets, in the business that makes sense for you. Okay, I was worried. I didn't know if I was out there by myself going too far. And so we got Anitra saying it makes sense. So that's good. I didn't go too far. We got Tony Sherman says, great teaching, sir. We got Tim Scott saying thanks. We got Miss Wright saying makes sense. And we got Mickey David saying it makes sense. Appreciate you all for tuning in on today on Coach Steele's Finance Training. If you haven't already, make sure you go subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's growing. It's blowing up. And so we are making great strides there. When we get to 500 subscribers, I'm going to give away some more money. Make sure you share it with other people. Even this live, make sure you share it with other people. Shirley Fraser says it makes sense. Next week, I'm excited. We got Mr. Trey Harris coming on to talk about taxes. It's tax season, and he is from Southeast Tax Specialist. So he's going to come over here and tell us a little of his story about his business and what he's doing. And hopefully he can help us out with some tax information next week. I would definitely want a professional to be here to talk about taxes and not me, someone who's licensed, certified to give us some great advice. Once again, appreciate you all for tuning in. And until next Saturday, 9 a.m.